So what exactly is e-rupee? It was inaugurated yesterday. We got to know of certain examples, but with UPI already in existence and digital payments now being acceptable, one really wonders, how is e-rupee going to be different from what is already there in the market? Some examples were definitely given, but the man behind this concept, e-rupee, who's in a synergized way bringing this concept to all of us, is now with us. He also got the CoWIN portal, the man who was the first head of UIDAI, Mr. R.S. Sharma. Dr. Sharma, thank you very much for joining us. In simple terms, if I were to ask you, how is e-rupee different from UPI?
Well, thank you very much, Sanket, for having me on your channel. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. E-rupee, as you would have seen the logo of e-rupee, you see E is E, and of course rupee is a rupee symbol, and then you have UPI. So basically it means that it is something which is based on the UPI architecture. Its architecture is same as UPI. So therefore it is a kind of add-on. It's a layered product on top of UPI, number one. Number two, UPI is essentially a money transfer, sort of architecture, which is an interoperable architecture, a scalable architecture for transferring money. It's peer-to-peer. It can be used for all kinds of transfers. Here, what we are adding is essentially the purpose to this. Vanilla money transfer means if I transfer 100 rupees to you, you have all the freedom to spend that money whichever way you want to spend. But if I have an intention to give money to you as a gift, as a direct benefit transfer, for example, from the government, and if I want that this money must be spent for the purpose for which it has been given, then that is e-rupee. So that is essentially the difference, that here is a money transaction which is to a person and also for a specific purpose. So purpose is an additionality on top of the money transfer.
Dr. Sharma, how will the government ascertain that the voucher or the e-rupee that you have sent has reached the specific beneficiary? How is your system geared up to achieve this?
That's very, very great, because today we are actually doing billions of money transfers through DBT, as you are aware. And it actually uses the Aadhaar architecture. Aadhaar is the financial address for transferring money to people. And we are doing, as much as 2 billion in LPG itself. Then you are having scholarships, you are having pensions of all kinds, Narega. There is and even in the current pandemic, we have transferred money. The government has transferred money to millions, hundreds of millions of farmers. So one is we have perfected the art and science of transferring money to an individual directly from the exchequer of the government. That I think nobody has any doubt at this point in time. Now, what is more important is that many times the government we transferred money to a person who is suffering from tuberculosis, and we want him to purchase tuberculosis medicines from a medical store out of this money, because that's where our whole success of the tuberculosis eradication program depends. And for that purpose, the government may transfer money to a person, which is easy part, as I explained to you. Now for a purpose for buying medicines, that is the part which is being built upon. And the way it is being done is that the token itself will have the purpose code and also the merchant, category code. And that person can go to any drug store who is actually a part of this ecosystem, and there he can get the redemption done and he can purchase the medicines. And as soon as he does that, there will be an end-to-end transparency available so that everybody can even get a status.
No, Dr. Sharma, my question was, how is this different from what may be happening right now? Suppose if the government has transferred some money for an intended beneficiary, apart from adding this sense of purpose that now you will only be able to redeem this coupon or voucher at a particular store or at a particular shop or for a particular purpose, that's just the only addition. Why did the government feel the need to come with this?
Oh yeah, sure. As I explained to you, that there are large number of situations. For example, if I transferred the money to you to buy clothes, let's say school dress, and you didn't buy a school dress, you spent the money in something else, that's not really the purpose, because the government is giving money for children's school dress, and should be spent for that purpose.
So it's intended to plug any leakage. That there should be no leakage.
That's one part of the story, but the more part of the story is that, you are assured, and that actually is the whole objective, because maybe it's not leakage alone. Once the money is given to a person, he's going to use it. Now the question is, it's not the leakage so much, because the money is reaching that person. It is actually ensuring that diversion of the purpose does not take place.
Okay.
So it is actually to ensure that the money is spent.
But now there's another important question, and especially in a country as vast as ours, where digital penetration is still a huge cause of concern. Now, if you were to add this sense of purpose also to the e-rupee, and if that becomes limiting in a way for the beneficiary, say for instance, you have given me this voucher which is only going to be applicable in shop number A, B and C, but there is a shop D which is close to my house and shop A, B, C are not accessible. So does this not become limiting? How would you address these concerns?
No, it does not become limiting. It does not become limiting the same way that the digital transactions do not become limiting. Today the digital transactions are happening, even the UPI itself is transacting 3 billion transactions, 100 million transactions a day, 3 billion transactions a month, and it is doing transaction worth 6 lakh crore rupees. And there are hundreds, thousands, millions of, merchants. So similarly, every ready wala today is having a QR code, put on his thela. So it's not as if it's a something which is very, very limited commodity. Now, because this is actually riding on top of that ecosystem, so it will have as much, replicability or as much, spread or ubiquity as these things are having. Now, the question is, obviously, these cases will get built up over a period of time. Yesterday, only one particular case of vaccination was actually tried. It was the first use case. Then we are trying to do Ayushman Bharat, for example. I'll give you an example. It's a very important example. In Ayushman Bharat, we put a patient in the hospital, and that particular patient requires an X-ray. Now, if that X-ray is required, and this hospital may not have the X-ray facility, now this person will go and get the X-ray done. The hospital will say, go out and get your X-ray, bahar jaake X-ray karwa ke laiye. Then this person will have to spend money from his own pocket. What can happen is we can give him that particular payment and say, go and get X-ray done from any shop, and he will get it done. Now the question is that once, because we already have the merchants and we already have we already know which is the area where these merchants are working. And therefore, there should not be any problem.
Sure.
So essentially what is happening is, because it is using the UPI ecosystem and it is being layered on top of that, it becomes an add-on and it becomes more empowering for the people, as the Honorable Prime Minister yesterday.
I'm not going to put the cart before the horse because, obviously there will be some teething troubles, and we'll come to them when we face those troubles. For instance, what if merchants refuse to take these e-rupees, then what happens? But see, when that happens, it happens. We'll come to that later.
No, sir. The merchants will not do that, because the merchant knows that if I don't take it, somebody else will take it. Come on, this whole system is governed by,
and only governments are using it in phase one.
Without anything. One most important thing, Sanket, is there are 3 factors in a country like India, as I said yesterday. One is cost, another is convenience, another is confidence. Now, convenience, confidence is there in digital payment systems today. Cost also is zero. So obviously the merchant is not going to pay anything. Merchant is going to receive 100 rupees out of 100 rupees. It's not, nobody is going to cut any money from it. So therefore, it's as good as a cash.
Interesting. Thank you very much, Dr. Sharma, for joining us and explaining in great detail what this e-rupee concept really is. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sanket, for having me on your channel.